start the conversation by talking about why data monetization is now so critical for telecom operators, especially within the structure of a conglomerate.
I think first of all the operators have invested a huge amount of money on 5G, and they are yet to see the ROI. So everybody wants to either reduce the cost or increase the ARPU. And using the network as a service or network monetization is the key for every operator. It's we are lucky or fortunate that we have such an ecosystem, and within the internal companies we can use this data. But it's same for every operator.
Absolutely, yes. And maybe you could talk about the ways you define data monetization within Rakuten Mobile specifically, and how that might differ from other Rakuten Group companies.
The way we look at it as of now within the group companies is how much, with the example that I was showing before, the CTR or the conversion increased by 50% for our travel business by utilizing the DPI data. So how much is the GMS increase? What is the CTR? That's how we compare as of now. But eventually the thing is, for internal usage, we have to come to a value that this is the value of data per subscriber. And for external, same thing.
Absolutely. But so to some extent, some aspects are still being defined, but certainly what's in progress now has already been pretty solid. That's great stuff. Perhaps on that note, you could share some aspects of your vision for data monetization within the Rakuten Group and how you see Rakuten Mobile's role within that overall picture.
If you look at Meta or Google, they are basically ad company, right? And if you look at the ad spent of any country, you can use ChatGPT to look at it. But now increasingly, instead of TV broadcast or radio broadcast, it's the ad revenue or ad spent is going to mobile. Every ad, it's increasing drastically, exponentially. It used to be 5-10%, but now close to, depending on the country, it's 25 to 30%. What is the value of that revenue and how much we can get that? It's very important. So that's how we are defining it.
Absolutely. Thank you. I suppose the next question really is how you can align some aspects of that with any other data monetization efforts within the Rakuten Group. How is it a question of alignment, or is it a question of having a separate plan?
We have a lot of data, not just coming from Rakuten Mobile. We have within the GDPR, again, security and privacy is very important. As a group, what we call is CDNA, customer DNA. From our card business, from our online business, we completely have the transaction data. We know where that is spent using our e-commerce. Now we have, with mobile, we have geolocation data, segment data, and also DPI data. So this whole thing is unique, and we have to create value of it.
Is that easier said than done, do you think, or is that?
Within the group, it's easy, right?
It's easy.
Within the group.
Yeah.
Okay, I will not charge my travel company for whatever they do with the data, right? At the end of the day, it's within Rakuten Group. But we have to define, which we are defining, the value of this data for external usage. And that will be done very soon. So to give you an example, recently signed a contract with, without naming the company. They want to put 10,000 screens all over in Japan, and they want to understand where to put those screens. With our data, because we know at that particular station, what is the segment which comes between 8 to 10 a.m. versus afternoon versus evening, and what are the ads they should play. Same goes with taxi, right? If the customer is sitting in taxi and you want to play, right now it's static, but it should be personalized. So knowing the person who is sitting in the taxi, what ad to play.
Yeah, it's very impressive stuff. I think it goes back to the point, of course, of how, as an operator, you're sitting on, or we are sitting on, vast amounts of data. And that really it positions Rakuten Mobile and indeed other operators as unique custodians of that information. It's just a question of how you find use cases exactly like that.
Another example I will give you, I was talking to some CEO from Africa, and they don't have national ID, but everybody has mobile and they have done the KYC. Why between all the three operators if we can create a system which is the KYC and which becomes unique ID. It's easy. Or even validation of KYC. For example, in Japan, we have to do KYC to onboard any customer. But if the customer is coming, already has a Rakuten credit card or Rakuten bank, we use the fintech KYC and don't do the mobile KYC because we already know the customer.
And of course, we are speaking to customers around the world through Rakuten Symphony. But I mean, do you see opportunities as well through the Symphony arm of your role to kind of expand this data monetization initiative? And what kind of conversations have you had with customers in that sense?
Everybody is looking at it. All the CEOs, not just network monetization or network as a service or open network, but also what are our offerings in terms of loyalty, reward points, how to create that ecosystem.
Absolutely. Again, you've said that the Rakuten Mobile's data monetization strategy is evolving, for want of a better word. But maybe we can talk about some of the earlier challenges that we faced when we started this journey of attempting to monetize data. What advice would you offer to MNOs who are getting started in that respect?
Two things. One is all the data has to come to single data lake. So you need to create APIs or pipelines from all the systems into a single data lake. And then the security becomes very important because now you pretty much know everything about the customer. Then whom to give that access and how can you encrypt that data, including customer name and other things. That's unique. That takes time, and that was a big challenge, and we had to delay our project for certain months because that data we cannot give access to anybody and everybody.
Again, some of the points that Roy touched on there, what part do you see AI playing in data monetization? That's surely making things much easier to a degree.
As I mentioned before, for example, today with all the data that we have, so we have out of 125 million, 98 million are Rakuten customers, one or the other ways. So we know where our customer segment is, what is the population, and we put it on GIS for any analysis. For example, now we can up to 94% accuracy can tell where to open a new shop for retail shop for our mobile shop and how many customers will come every day. So that's where AI plays a lot of role. And this is not just for mobile shops. We can do it for any other industry which is distributed in nature.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for sharing your insight earlier on some of the broader Rakuten groups, the Rakuten Telecom story, let's say, and also for giving your take on the Rakuten Real Open RAN licensing program. Thank you very much for your time. And it's been a pleasure hosting you today at the Booth Theatre. Thank you. Big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Sharad Sriwastawa.